this. My
Hmm.
grandmother poo-pooed it. Like didn't want to know anything about it.
Hmm.
In fact, when my grandfather passed away, she told me that he was always knocking on the door and she didn't want to have anything to do with him. She said, I want him to go away, leave me alone.
Oh my
And and so then it seemed like, it kind of died with her, but my mother picked it up again.
Yes.
And then now, it
Hmm.
comes through me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And she told me also that my great great grandmother wants to speak with me. So I'm trying to get in touch with her now.
Okay. And you can use the tools we've been talking about, like
Yes,
in our retreat portion, like you can use the writing to speak to a
yes.
loved one. Yep. Okay. Have you been doing that? Because you're shaking your head.
Yeah, well, I haven't
Yeah.
done it yet. I haven't done the writing yet with her, but
Okay.
I've just
Yeah.
kind of sat in the power and tried to think of her contacting me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Michelle.
But
Um,
I also found out that I'm gonna learn, which I knew already, that
mhm.
I'm gonna learn a lot through my dreams, and I always do.
Mhm.
My dreams are very strong,
Okay.
and I dream in color, which is supposedly not as common. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know,
That's what
actually.
I don't know. That's what she heard. That's what
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
Diana was getting. Yeah.
Yeah. So dreams, we haven't really talked about dreams here yet, but what I would love to explain to you is like the difference between like dreaming about a loved one and actually a visitation dream, because a lot of times we have what are really visitation dreams, which is just another way for your loved ones to be communicating with you from the world of spirit. So when we are sleeping and the ego mind is like unconscious, basically, that is when you're having experiences on the soul level. And a spiritual belief about sleep is that we are really having experiences in the world of spirit, right? And the reason our dreams sometimes or oftentimes feel a little confusing or don't make a lot of sense or they're a little weird, is because then we're trying to process this vast expansive experience from the spirit world through our brains, which don't know what, can't make sense of it, right? So what we remember has to get processed through our brain, and then it gets distorted. But a visitation dream, you will really wake up, and Julie, I'm sure you've had them. Like you'll really wake up feeling like you just were with your loved one. It's a
Yes.
very powerful, like on the feeling level.
Yes,
Oh,
I have.
yes. Hmm. And you may even wake up feeling emotional
Mm-hmm.
from the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it will feel so real that you might almost question, like, was that a dream? Like what it feels like that. Whereas like dreaming and your loved one is in the dream, you don't wake up with this intense feeling or emotion. So
No.
wake up with that emotion. That's really a visitation dream. And again, like our loved ones in spirit are also using to learn, they're learning how to use their clairs to communicate with us. So the way you're learning to use your clairs, when you go to the spirit world, it kind of works a little differently. So some people pass and they immediately have figured this out and communicate really, really well with their clairs. So sometimes you'll go for a reading and a loved one will show up right away, or it might take a few years, like it takes time, and people will be like, why isn't my dad showing up in the readings? Like, why isn't he coming through? And there's like a learning process there. That's one of the reasons. There's actually a multitude of reasons, but one of them is that your loved one might be learning how to use their clairs. And maybe the Claire that they're most comfortable with, that medium isn't really, hasn't developed that Claire so well. So they're not like a match for communication.
Mm-hmm.
So your loved one is showing up, but the communication is breaking down because of the medium. So as a medium, you always have to assume responsibility for not connecting to a loved one and never put that on the world of spirit or, say something like, so I've had people come to me and they're like, the last medium said, my mom just didn't want to be there. She wasn't there. I'm like, oh, like that's so damaging to say to somebody.
Yes,
It's
yes,
so hurtful. And it's like, that's not true. It's just that that medium didn't have an awareness of your mom, or they might not have been a match in the way they're using their clairs. So she couldn't communicate, you know? Or the world of spirit was like, we need to get a message through to Sally today, and Uncle Frank is the one to do it, right? So like also trust that the
yeah,
world of spirit knows the greater plan of what we need, even though what we want might be something totally different. So like there's a lot going on that we
yes.
understand, So same with appearing in dreams, you know. I have a friend who lost her husband and she gets messages from him in a variety of ways all the time, but she doesn't dream about him.
Mm.
No matter what, she feels disappointed. It's always, when is he going to come to me in my dreams? When, like, he's never talking to me, And I'm like, but he came up in the songs on the radio. Like, she's constantly sending me screenshots of her car radio, like other ways. And
Mm-hmm.
it really has to do with the development also of that spirit person, like what's comfortable for them in the communication, like what they feel better to do. Michelle, I appreciate you sharing this with us. It helps explain some things I've experienced today. Ooh, okay. Can't wait to hear about that, Michelle. Thank you. So everything is a learning process. And I think I might have told you this story before. If I had, let me know and I'll stop. But one of the greatest mediums of our time, he passed away, I think in 1991, Gordon Higginson, like world famous, greatest medium of the time, through the spiritualist churches in Britain. Michelle said, saying she's heard of him. When he passed, his mentees we're all like, why isn't Gordon showing up in our readings when we're connecting? Why isn't he coming through? Why isn't he coming through? And it was like months before he came through. And about 8 months later, he came through and he explained that even though he was like one of the greatest, like he did every form of mediumship, including physical mediumship. Um, he had to relearn how to use his clairs. Like he couldn't, like it was uncomfortable for him. So it took time for him to figure out how to use it from the world of spirit. So there's something that goes on with the communication where for some of us it's just going to be easy right away, and others it's going to take some time, you know. And when I've been in mentorships for years with people in the classes, it's like the same spirit people keep coming through when we're practicing readings. They end up being part of the teachers of the class.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, maybe a year in, a new spirit person shows up and then they're there all the time. And I've like just come to understand that, they were developing too. Like they're developing too.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, I had an experience with regards to my dad. I never experienced him like I did with my grandpa. And it was so hard because we were so connected in life. Absolutely. The first time I felt him was 20 years after his passing. So, Michelle, this is not uncommon. Okay. And it may be that, and you're saying the first time you ever felt him, like we know you're very clairsentient, right? But maybe the clairsentience wasn't like your dad's power clair, right? And it took some time for him to be really using that. So it's not like he's not showing up, but there's a breakdown in the communication between us and the way we're experiencing and noticing. Um, and remember, the worlds within worlds within worlds. We're inside the spirit world. So they're already with us. It's just the breakdown in the communication of us understanding and being aware, you know? Um, so Yeah. Oh, of course. And the thing is, Michelle, with grief, and this is really important in your work, Deb, with grief, um, the connection to the clairs can be really shut down. There can be a disconnect, right? So with grief, um, someone's mood is lower. And when our moods are lower, we can feel disconnected, so even like mediums grieve. So a medium going through grief might be struggling with her mediumship during that time too, so pay attention to these things with yourself, like in times of like great stress, or if it's the anniversary of a loss and the grief is ignited, you might feel a disconnect from your guides, from your loved ones. And I just want you to know that that's natural. It's not like it's not there. It's just like the pipes get clogged. Um, yeah, grief was just one layer of that shutdown, of course. Yeah. And you feel free to unmute. Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I didn't want to like monopolize that. I was just sharing
No,
as we're
there's no
talking.
monopolizing. There's four of us in the room. Like it's
So it was just, that was actually just one layer.
Mhm,
So it also in that time period, there was definitely, so you said stress, a lot of stress.
mhm,
So we were moving. My husband at the time was going through a whole
mhm,
bunch of stuff. He was also one of the people I've talked to you about that like
mhm.
shut down my senses because
Yes.
he
Yeah.
would judge me and criticize me and stuff over
Mhm,
it. And
mhm.
so there was a lot of layers for
Yes.
sure in that
Yes. Yeah.
in
Hmm.
that time.
Yeah.
But definitely like because my dad was not just my dad, he was my best friend.
He
So my
was.
parents got divorced when I was 4,
Mhm.
and he only lived a few blocks away until we moved to England when I was 8, and I wanted to stay with him. My mom wouldn't let me. And so I finally went back and moved in with him when I was 9. And so it was just me and him from 9 to 18, just me and my dad. We were like two peas in a pod, and he
Mhm.
supported me with everything. And even after that, my husband actually made a joke that we were married, but he still wasn't the first man in my life. And
Mhm.
I know it's a sad joke, but he used to
Mhm.
joke about it all the time. I knew it hurt him. And then when I had my son, he goes, "Oh, great. Now I'm down to number 3." So
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
my dad was definitely like a
Yeah.
huge, huge part. And I think that was why I was so disappointed, especially since I had such a great experience with my grandpa post death.
Mhm.
Um, he would come and ride in the car with me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know,
Right.
and most of my life, he was the second most important man in my life. It was my dad and
Mhm.
my grandpa. So yeah, I fully expected, and I think that's part of it too. I fully expected
Mhm.
to feel my dad, like,
Yes.
and have
Yes.
him. So
Absolutely.
more disappointing, and I think that shut me down even more.
Mhm.
Like screw it all, right?
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
get like,
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, when we are in the world of spirit, like, we are actually busy doing things too, right? So
mhm,
you're still growing, you're still learning, you're still having experiences. And, um, like, for instance, I have a lot of loved ones in the world of spirit, and one of my grandmothers, like, she's come like in all my mediumship practices, which I don't even know how to give you a number anymore. Um, she's come through like a couple times, and that's been it. She's never come through if I went to a medium, like professionally for a reading. And I just think it's either the use of her clairs, but I often wonder, like, maybe she's just like up to a lot of things right now too. She's busy. I don't know. But she came through. She's my dad's mom, and I gifted a reading for my dad a number of years ago, and she was like front and center in his reading. So there's a lot that we don't understand as far as the organization in the world of spirit, and just really trusting that spirit knows what we need, right? So if you even think as an entrepreneur, like you're always supposed to be speaking to your clients' wants, not their needs, but you know what they need, right? And it's hard to speak to their wants because what they need is so front and center in your mind. It's like the spirit world, like they're not speaking to our wants. they're speaking to our needs too. So there's so many different layers of things that go into whether or not you hear from your loved one, right? So, Michelle, you're also just talking about like you just on a daily basis experiencing a sense, oh, I just feel like my dad is present today, that type of thing. And a lot of people, there's something about when someone first passes, people might have like a lot of experiences or like many people in one family might have different experiences, and then over time, you're not noticing it as much. But I also think that we're hyper aware in the beginning. We're looking, we're wanting those experiences, you know?
That
Um,
was my grandpa.
yeah. And
He
like
was
you,
very
like you
present at
experienced
first.
it in your car, and you reminded me of like when my grandmother passed, my cousins, I remember my cousin calling and saying, oh my God, I was driving my car and I could smell grandpa's pipe. Like my grandfather was showing up, you know, he had passed years before. And like, so we're, we're looking for it too. So just like with your signs, if you're asking for a sign, you have to like opening up that awareness so that you notice the sign, right? Um, yeah. So I
It
hope.
was after I moved. I
Mm,
moved and then I quit experiencing my grandpa
mm,
after I moved. So when I was experiencing a lot, I lived in the same town that he died in.
mhm.
You know what I mean? That he was in the hospital. And then I moved to a different town, and that's when I quit experiencing him. So
Yeah.
different
So
things, right?
well, and that could also speak to either the need, like once you were moving, like you were entering the next phase of your life, or it could even be attached to like an old belief. Like some people believe like the spirit person has to just stay where they were, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
we go to visit the cemetery as if they're always there.
No.
The last place I'm hanging out when I go is like at my gravesite. I'll
Yeah.
go there. Like if someone shows up, I might go there to be with them, right? But like I'm gonna be traveling. I'm gonna be doing things, right? So like we have belief, or people say, oh, someone died in the home, they must be stuck there.
Yeah.
Nobody's-
No.
No, no, nobody's stuck, right? But we have these like beliefs, like, oh, I left the town. Now I'm gonna be far away, especially like when you're talking about someone that you loved, right? Or you sell a home. Deb, this might come up with your clients. Like as they're moving forward and maybe they're feeling like I have to move, but they can't move because they're afraid to leave the home where they lived with their loved one, right? Like it's going
Exactly.
to create more separation, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Whereas in the world of spirit, that doesn't create the separation, but it does for us and how we believe and experience things, right?
definitely.
I I love how you just said that, Kim, because I actually created a story about my dad and why he wasn't connecting with me because
Mm,
his wife did not honor his wishes after he passed away. She
mm,
spent the last 2 years, he got diagnosed with stage 4 and he lived 3 years, like miraculously lived 3 years after getting diagnosed. And the last year and a half, probably, she literally argued with him about what he wanted for himself afterwards. And she did not honor it after he passed away. And
mhm.
so the story I told myself is that's why, because he was unsettled. So that's
Yeah,
why, right? So I
yeah,
love that you just shared that. Like we create these stories based on our
do.
and
We
what's
do.
here, and that could have nothing to do with, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that that piece. So
So,
thank you for that.
Michelle, that's really intense. And I have the chills while you're talking about that because my mediumship ignited because of a very parallel situation. So, what happened was my grandmother passed, and my grandmother was a very religious, like Armenian Orthodox. And when she passed, she was living with my aunt and uncle, and my aunt was stage 4 cancer, like she was dying. And my uncle kind of took over like what we were going to do to honor my grandmother, which he decided was we were going to cremate her and sprinkle her in his garden, like in his yard. No service, nothing. And I was like, it was very upsetting for me. Now, because my aunt was so sick, my mother said, it's upsetting for me too, but we're not going to upset my sister. She is so sick. We just have to let it be. And I just really struggled, Michelle. And one day I sat down on my bed and I just was like, Grandma, I'm so like, I felt like we had wronged her. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then all of a sudden, there was my grandmother, and I had my first communication. And she explained to me, like, that it actually doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what we do here, like, that she's so fine. And during that communication, I couldn't believe what was happening. And I was so afraid to move. Like, I sat still because I was like, if I move, she's going to go away. Like, what's happening right now? Right. And I said, and everyone had something from my grandmother. My grandmother literally owned nothing. She never owned her own home. She had whatever was in her bedroom at my aunt's house, just her few little things. But everyone got something except for me. And I was like, Grandma, I just wish I had something of yours to hold. And she's like, you do? I was like, what do I have? And she's like, you have the worry beads that I gave you. And years before, she had given me this strand. And it's like in Armenian, there's like this thing called worry beads. It looks a little bit like a rosary. And it's like you sit, you fiddle with the beads, you might pray. And they were her father's. And she had taken them and restrung them and given them to me. And then I really started crying because I was like, Grandma, I lost them. I hadn't seen them in a couple of years. And she said, no, you didn't. They're in your top second drawer of your dresser in the back in a box. Now, just for you all to know, it's like my bra drawer, which I go into every day. And I was like, no, they're not. And I got up and I stuck my hand in that drawer, and in the back was a little box, and inside that box was my worry beads. And that was my first experience as a medium, like evidential, right? Because everything else I could say, maybe my mind was just telling me my grandma was telling me she was okay, you know? And then I went to sleep that night and I had a visitation dream from her. We were having a beautiful church ceremony. She was like proceeding down the aisle, like it was her own procession, with a look of joy I can't describe, that I've never seen on a human being. And I was like, my grandma's okay. So I just share that with you, Michelle, because that was what I learned from my own grandma. Like, it's okay. They're okay. It's just we're not okay. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny because it was the opposite. My dad wanted to be cremated. My stepmom
Yeah.
did not want to do that.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. And she wouldn't allow me or my sister to be involved in the spreading of his ashes. And I truly believe that's because she didn't do it.
Right.
Because he also wanted her to take some of the ashes and make necklaces. He found the location, he found where to order them, he found everything. He wanted us to have those necklaces and have him with us at all times. And we never got those necklaces. So I'm pretty clear that she did not
Yeah.
honor his wishes. So
Right.
yeah. So isn't that interesting? It's like totally the opposite.
Yeah. And it's like that deep hurt. You think about that deep hurt, and it's like a betrayal,
Betrayal. Oh, totally.
total betrayal
100%. Yeah.
of your father and of all of you. And you could see how
After everything he did
that could even lead you feeling disconnected from your father, right? So,
yeah.
so
Anyway.
as you journey forward, if anything comes up that you have a question about, but that just doesn't feel right to you, I want you always to reach out to me, and we'll have a conversation. Take advantage of what I've learned over these years from all of my teachers, you know, because I haven't learned anything that I don't think won't settle your heart. And that's what's just so magnificent about it all.
Right.
It really settles us more than any belief we could ever have.
It's that confirmation layer that helps with the trust,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. That's why I'm so excited that you're doing the group thing continuing.
Oh, good.
Because you know, that is one of the things I'll just speak for myself. I get busy and I don't remember that I have the tools,
Yes,
and the resources. And
absolutely.
you and I have had that conversation already, that
Mhm.
I've had so much learning opportunities. I've learned so much over the last 8 years, and I just know that I've got the tools. I just forget to use them, right?
Absolutely. We all
And
do.
then that's where the
Yep.
trust kind of goes
Mhm.
away. And so by
Mhm.
being with all of you and being able to experience my gift with someone else outside of myself, it does give me that confirmation. And I'm
Mhm.
so excited.
And reach out to each other. You know, like
Really?
if you have a question, you're not getting the answer from your guide, you're feeling blocked, be like, Julie, what are my
Yeah.
Yes.
guides telling you? Ask my guides. This is like, this is like why it's so nice to have the group part, right? The sense of community. And we'll also sit in the power, because I know there's going to be times where you're going to be sitting in the power, and there's going to be times where you're going to be like, I haven't done it in a long time. And it just reconnects you, you know, and sitting in the power with other people, it is more powerful. It
Yeah.
just energetically, it really is. So it makes it easier for you to do it, you know? Yeah.
I
We
am.
should
Hmm.
we should try to make a conscious effort to create a practice circle among us.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, Deb, if you talked to Kim about what you and I talked about. Like Deb and I actually made like a conscious choice separately that we weren't gonna connect too much with each other while we were in this class, because we wanted to not know too much when we were doing
Yes.
readings for each other. And so I personally am really excited that class is over in that way,
Mhm.
because now I can spend more time reaching out to Deb and Julie and
Mhm. Mhm.
Nicole,
Yep.
and really get to know each other, because I've been purposefully not getting to know each of you because
Yeah.
I wanted to test my
Yeah.
skills, right?
Right, right.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And there's no reason why you can't meet and just sit in the power together. You don't
Hmm.
even need someone to lead it. You can just sit quietly, you know, or one,
Right.
you can each take turns practicing leading it. You're going to lead meditations, you're going to lead other things. So go for it. Go for
Yep.
it, you know?
And
Mhm.
practice working it as if we're each other's clients though too.
That's
That's
right.
what your
Mhm.
whole this whole course was kind of designed around, was being able to do that.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So, right now I'm like building a landing page, and I was just saying to someone, um, like ask your guides, like as you create something, have them like ask, did I add everything in? Should I change any of the words? Should I get a better photo? Like do that, right? Michelle, you're always creating, right? That's like the backbone of your business. Before you send it to the client, do that last check with your guides.
I did that last night actually.
Ooh.
Website. Yeah. As I was reviewing it and testing it and stuff, I'm like, okay, so, and what was really interesting is
Hmm.
I'm like going through it and I'm like, ooh, so what I get is that feeling. Oh, no,
Hmm.
that page or that section isn't aligned. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so now let's look at it again. And if I don't like see it right away, I'll move on to something else and then I'll come back and I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, that's it. That's what needs to be changed, right? So yesterday it was fonts. The fonts were off, something that
Ooh.
you're reading the words, you don't pay attention to the fonts sometimes. And so it was
Mhm.
all the fonts were off. And it was that one page that I caught it on, but the whole website, all the fonts were off. And so I went in and changed all the fonts. So I do it.
I love it.
I will admit to you, I don't know that I was as conscious that it was a spiritual thing until I
Hmm.
took this class. It's
Hmm.
something I do naturally, and you picked up on that before I even recognized it, right? So, but it is something that I do. I'm just more conscious about it now.
Hmm. Hmm. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And you know what? If you don't see it, push further. Just keep leaning into what you felt initially, that there was something there, and you'll get more information, Michelle, you know?
And
Hmm.
that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned from you in this class is
Yeah. There's just
don't
always
take,
more. It's
there's,
like,
yeah, Don't stop at the surface level, right?
Don't stop, you know? And for some of you, it will work like how I'm describing it, like just leaning in more. Others, you might be able to ask a question, you know? Um, if I ask a question, my mind comes right in. So I just kind of blend more. I lean in more. But keep playing with that because you'll find what way works best for you. I feel like, Michelle, you can outright ask. So I think you should play with that a little bit. All right? Mm-hmm. You get it? Lean.
Mhm.
And then if you're like, oh, I didn't get the next thing, then ask. I feel like you can. All right?
Mhm.
Messes me up if I do it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, all right. So, and Michelle, you missed Diana is sick, so she can't join us today. And
Oh.
Nicole is running late. So I'm going to give Nicole a couple more minutes because I would love everybody to, for her to be here because I want to do like a real deep grounding, almost like I'm not closing you down. There's no such thing as closing you down, right? It's just setting that boundary with spirit, but just like kind of like coming to the end of the cycle of this piece of your journey and just symbolically doing that, going through your chakras. I'm going to go through each one of you actually individually, even though we're going to do it as a group, and do some energy healing wherever I see needs to be to just do a really nice chakra balance for you, at the end of this today. And then what I would like to do is in that meditative state, kind of like I did in my class last week, and Michelle, the one that you went to like in the fall, where I'm going to ask a question, and you can either just sit with the answer or you can write the answer, whichever you want, just to give you more like a clarity and where you're at in your relationship with your guides and with your soul. All right. I think that might be a nice way to kind of bring everything together and then just have a little time for sharing and just like some little Q&A. All right. Yeah. Um, anything before we start?
You want to know something that happened to me this week that I can tell really quick?
Yes.
I'd love to share this with you guys. I was driving one day and it was just before Mother's Day. And um, while I was driving, I just felt connected to spirit. And I said, I'm just going to let you know how much I appreciate you. You're all
Mhm.
here with me. Just it was one of those funny conversations like I know you're here and I'm so glad I now know. I'm not just suspecting. What? So thank you and would you please share a sign? Let me know what it is that I need to know today. What the heck happens next? I'm driving along and suddenly there's a mama and a daddy geese and 5 little gosling, and the whole world stops so they can cross this double
Yeah.
traffic lane from one side of the road to the other.
Oh my gosh.
And suddenly I was thinking, what does this say to me?
Mm-hmm.
This is the sign. It was
Mm-hmm.
fast.
Mm-hmm.
Life is precious. Family is everything. And it was confirmation from my cousin Randy, who passed in January.
Mm-hmm.
reflecting back on a conversation we had together back in October, where he said to me, even though you feel like you didn't do it, it wasn't your fault, the fact that you're not talking to your sister and her family and you guys aren't visiting and getting together, you still have to be the one to go do the work.
Mm-hmm.
You have to either apologize or you have to do something. You have to do that. You can't leave it like that. And I knew he was right, but I wasn't ready to like
Mm-hmm.
get off my own high horse for whatever stupid reason, right? And by the way, of course, I'm miserably uncomfortable being in that mode anyway, because I know automatically when I'm on a position about something, I'm not in alignment and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
my truth. So I just decided I don't really care what the issue is. I don't have to be right about anything. That completely removes the purpose. However, it was also further confirmation, like a slap upside the head from Randy saying, see, I told you. I invited my sister and her family to Mother's Day. My mother had the best Mother's Day ever. Everyone felt like everything was back to normal. There was no ickiness, there was no weirdness. Everyone was just straight up enjoying the heck out of life that day together. My nieces brought a bouquet of roses to me and flowers to mom, and they were wonderful, and everything was wonderful. But I know Randy sent me the geese to
Mm-hmm.
say, see, life is so important, but family is everything. Good thing you took my advice. It was like, I told you.
Yeah.
It was
Mm.
powerful.
Yeah. Well, and what's really powerful about that is that because you're aware now, you got all that information in
It
that
was,
moment. And then it changed the course of your day together,
it was just
right?
amazing.
So
Yeah,
that's where the power is. It might have still happened, the geese, but you might not have understood that you were getting a message, right?
yeah.
So that's where it's at, like opening up your awareness, noticing, and then just believing and trusting it.
And how different my whole life experience was
Mm-hmm.
from that action, from that belief system, from that awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to cry and jump up and down and call up all of you and say, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
happened today.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it too.
that's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. And you're going to be able to fill a book with examples like that over time, right?
I
Um,
need to write that example down.
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Kim.
Mm-hmm. Um, and remember a while back, I sent you each like a song to use to ignite your power. I think I left the reasoning for Michelle's song, but I didn't for everybody's. Um, and so Deb, your song actually, so I asked Spirit to give me a song for each one of you, but then there was meaning behind the songs. So your song by Taylor Swift in one of like the most significant mentorships that I had at the very end, we had to do a mediumship demonstration. We had to do it like in this format of the way the teacher taught, but it was like through the spiritualist church type of format where you're a group of mediums and you each have a different role. So two mediums do readings. One medium runs the whole thing. They're called the chair, and they have to supply the power for the whole demonstration, and then like man the Zoom and all that. And then one medium does an inspired talk. And one of the things we had to do was you're supposed to start out by just playing music to uplift the audience. And everybody always chooses like these corny kind of spiritual type songs. They're boring to me. Anyway, I was like, we're going to have a really good song. We're going to have a song that the teachers never heard before. So I reached out to my daughter who works in the music industry because I knew in 2 seconds she would send me back a song. And that was the song that she sent back, was the song that I gave you, Deb. And I
Wow.
loved that for you, especially because you worked in the music industry. And the
Yeah.
very first moment I met you, I found out that you worked for David Bowie and I freaking had a heart attack. And I just felt like because my daughter gave me the song and I don't know, there was like all these synchronicities to it. But anyway, there were 3 groups of us doing these demonstrations. And then at the end, the teacher was going to kind of go over it with each one of us. And one of the things that she said was, and they were pulling in an audience. We had a pretty big audience. There was over 100 people. She was like, do not do readings for one another. If you connect to a spirit person and it ends up being another person in the class, you need to move on to the next spirit person. So the first group went, what do you know? They all gave readings for people in the class. Second group went, same thing. And I said to my group, you can't do it. Now they made me the chair. So my role was to send power for the whole thing and run the whole thing. And I was like, as soon as you know, because these spirit people are strong, you're comfortable, you open up your awareness. It's kind of like if you go into a party and there's 100 people there and you know 2 people at the party, you're probably going to go talk to them first so you feel comfortable, right? It's the same thing. As the medium, you're like, oh, I see that, I know that person, right? And these mediums, the 2 mediums that were reading, there was a lot of ego in this class, and they were not 2 of the ego mediums. I don't think anyone expected, the ego mediums didn't expect them to do so well. They connected. They found out it was someone in the class. They gave a lot of love to that spirit and moved on. So at the end, they did exactly. They killed it. They did exactly what the teacher asked them to do, and nobody thought they could do it. And I was just so thrilled beyond belief. It was such a moment, Deb, for the group and for these mediums. And the teacher was like, and she never praised anybody. No matter what reading you gave, she talked about where you could do more. She truly was trying to help you get better, right? It wasn't like she was unkind. She just never was like, that was wonderful. And she went on and on. She said to me, I could be a chair for her anytime, which I almost I almost passed out when she said it. And these 2 mediums, to just see them get praise from her. It was such a moment. And then she was like, and Kim, that song was beautiful. How did you find that song? So that's your song, Deb. And it's
Oh my
all
God.
about her relationship to her grandmother and feeling like she's experiencing her, you know?
Now I have to know what the song is. So.
Oh, it's Taylor Swift, Marjorie.
Marjorie.
And Marjorie's her grandmother. Yeah. And she says, what is the phrase that she says? If I knew better, but I know better, meaning she's experiencing her, but she knows better. She must not be experiencing her, like that type of thing, you know? It's a really beautiful, beautiful song. So that's Deb's song.
Wow.
And then Julie, your song was, I had a membership community for a while, and we would meet a couple times a month. We would have different themes. So we had an angel theme, and it ended up going on for a couple of months because the people, everybody really wanted more about the angels. So I got it up in my head, oh, I'm going to make everyone an angel playlist for Spotify and give it to them. Of course, I didn't make it. I called my daughter Allison. I was like, can you make an angel playlist? And she makes this playlist. She sends it to me. And some of the songs are like songs you're all familiar with, right? But there was this one song. I was like, who is this artist? How did she find him? And it's the most beautiful song about
Mhm.
really truly being connected to the angels.
Mhm.
That was what Spirit was like. Go to your angels playlist, and the first song that you see, that's for Julie. And it was that,
Oh, wow.
yeah. And then I was like, I don't even remember this song. And I listened to the song and I was like, oh my God, this is so Julie. So Julie. Because you just are all about the angels from the day I met you. Um, so it was really just this thing that I spontaneously did. Well, really had my daughter do. I cheated and gave to everybody. So the whole playlist, I can give you the link to the whole playlist if you want it, actually.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think I put it on YouTube, so I'll find the link and give it to you.
Okay. That
And
sounds good. Yeah, I
yeah,
love
and
that.
so yours doesn't have a long story, but it was like a big punch, right? I was just like, I don't know where my daughter found this song.
Yeah,
Never heard of that artist. Um, so I think,
but you connected it with me.
yep,
Interesting.
yep, and maybe she did it for you. Spirit did it for you. And then Michelle, in the beginning of my mediumship journey, I would wake up in the middle of the night with songs in my head. And they're often songs that I haven't like listened to in a long time. It's not like you went, you listen to it that day and then it's in your dreams. And somewhere along the way, I was like, I think I need to pay attention to these songs. So I started writing them down and then I started putting them in a playlist because what I started noticing was there were messages in these songs for me from my guides. So I made like my whole like spirit guide playlist. And the song that Spirit told me to give you was significant from that playlist, but also from someone that I lost that's in the world of spirit who gave us one day. It's a very long story, so I'll make it very short. But she has three daughters, and after she passed, I was chatting with her a lot in spirit, and her daughters were constantly talking to myself and my sisters. She was a very close family friend. And my sister called me one day and she was like, I just wish we could have like a message from Kitty, a message from Kitty. And like I right away heard her say, colors in the sky, colors in the sky. And I said, Jen, she's saying colors in the sky. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, but that's all. I'm not getting more. Like, I don't know what she means. Neither one of us made a connection to it. That evening, my phone starts lighting up, and we're all in different areas. One person's in Chicago, a few are on Long Island in different areas. I'm in Massachusetts. And everyone starts putting pictures of rainbows in the text. I just saw a rainbow. Look at this rainbow over my house. I'm on the train. Look at this rainbow. I'm in Chicago. Look at this rainbow. And I was like, oh my God. She literally said this morning, colors in the sky, colors in the sky. And it was just this powerful moment, especially for my sister and I, because we had been on the phone that morning talking about it. And then there it was. And again, it's like, did she make the rainbow? I don't believe she made the rainbow. I believe she knew we're all going to see a rainbow. So that's going to be our sign that she's with us. You know, I feel like it works that way.
Yeah.
But anytime I hit, but a fun thing to do if you have playlists is just say to Spirit, talk to me on my playlist and then hit shuffle. So like you're not in control of what's going to come up. And that song always comes up. And I always just feel like it's her sending her love. So, and I love the idea of colors for you. You know, I pushed that quite a bit. Yeah. Okay, Nicole's saying she can't make it. So let's get into our meditation. Yes, 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 yes. Let's get into our meditation. All right. If you want to write, just have a paper and pen or journal for yourselves. We're going to do a nice grounding. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the grounding because, especially for Michelle, like grounding is so important for you, and I want to make it as simple as possible. so that you can just do this anytime you need it without it feeling like a big, heavy thing for you to do. Okay? So I'm going to I'm just going to give what Spirit gives me, but I'm just asking Spirit to make it easy for you, like not a big process. Okay? All right. Everybody comfortable? You have what you need? So let's take that sacred breath together. And anytime we do that together, it's like we're signaling into the mind and into the universe and into each one of your souls that beautiful concept that's so hard to comprehend. We're all one. We are all united. We can unite together just with the sacred breath. And just a gentle reminder that anytime you want to speak to your guides, you want to connect with your soul, the very first thing to do is take the sacred breath. And this can become so powerful and simple and easy for you that with just one breath, you are there. Because your soul is right there. It doesn't run off and go have its own experiences somewhere. It's always with you. Your guides have chosen to always be with you. And isn't that a beautiful thought? And when you take the sacred breath, it's like you're telling everyone, you have my attention. And even with the sacred breath, pulling that breath all the way down, maybe even seeing the breath as a color, a deep ruby red, that burnt orange, pulling it all the way down. And that connection is your grounding. Breathing in the color and pulling it all the way down. Because even in the body, the oxygen is the one thing that runs all the way through, touching every part of you. It connects the brain to the feet, the heart to the liver, the stomach to the knee. Everything is connected as the oxygen moves through you. And it's the same with the sacred breath. It is all you ever need to feel grounded and present. You might be feeling this moving through your body now. You might be seeing it. You might just know it's happening. You can even add to the sacred breath, maybe the chime of a bell, the beat of a song or a drum. Just adding in the sound even deepens the grounding. Because sound needs the physical ears to be heard. It only exists in this physical form. It is in this physical form that you become grounded. So the simple breath, the simple sound, and the colors. Anytime you think of these things, you pull yourself into balance. And now I'm just going to go through each one of you individually. I'll let you know when I'm with you, just focusing on your chakras and balancing your chakras using the golden energy. Just igniting beautiful flow of energy, movement of the chakras, and the deepening of the colors. And Julie, I'm just going to begin with you, and everyone will just hold space, just sitting in the power and the unity of your soul and your guides as I focus on Julie for just a moment. Now just gently moving to Deb. And just moving gently to Michelle. As the energy is just so beautifully balanced now, running through you, your chakras moving at the perfect speed for you, everything integrated, your clairs fully, fully ignited, and right there for you to use anytime you choose. They're always open and running. Just like spirit and your soul is always right there. And you can just think about whatever comes to you through your clairs, or you can write about it as I ask a couple of questions. What is your belief about your soul? What have you come to know about it? And as I ask these questions, I'm going to make healing possible for Nicole if she decides she wants it. And then you can just think about or write about an intention that you have for yourself moving forward as you deepen your connection to your intuitive self.
I'm sorry, Kim, can you say that again?
Of, of course. Just take a moment to either think about or write about what your intention is for yourself as you move forward. Your intention for your connection to your intuitive self. And the last question is just ask your soul and your guides for one word they can give you, for you to just use as your own beacon. And as you finish writing, just know that truly it's not a finishing, it's just the beginning. The beautiful part of this journey is that you're always beginning. There's always more for you. A deeper connection to your soul and your guides, deeper wisdom and information. So much more to discover in the world of spirit. So much more to unfold and be revealed to you. And in many ways, you're just writing your own truth as you make these discoveries. A gentle unfolding and unveiling. And no matter how much you pay attention to it, no matter how many times you may forget, everything that you know right now is always still there. The connection is always available to you. Underneath you and even all around you is a beautiful support, like having a net for you to fall into anytime you need it. Maybe just as you begin to take those last sacred breaths, just offering some gratitude to yourself for taking these steps, for doing the work, for acknowledging your soul and spirit. And gratitude for your soul and spirit for showing up in every moment of your life, every breath you take. And even gratitude for what's to come, for whatever you learn as you move forward, for whatever is revealed to you as you move forward. An excitement, a curiosity, and so much joy. Just moving now into the crown. Maybe just even noticing all the light around your crown. And remembering that you decide every day how connected you want to be to the world of spirit. How open or closed your crown needs to be in any given moment. You are in charge of this. And that is a beautiful thing. Just feeling that light from the universe just washing through you all the way through, pouring out underneath your feet, taking away with it anything that no longer serves you well, and fueling you with unlimited possibilities and abundance. Taking one last deep sacred breath together as a group. Just so much gratitude for the support you've given one another. And opening your eyes and coming back to the Zoom whenever you are ready. Bell is coming back. Julie's starting to stir. Deb might need one more breath. How's everybody doing? Good?
I think I went into the other dimension. Like I was gonna take residency for good and
Mm,
back.
sometimes you just don't want to come back, you know? Yeah. It's a beautiful place to be, like deep within yourself, like that, you know? Yeah. Free from the mind.
Yes, it's a vacation.
It is. It's a vacation.
Best place.
Mindcation. Anyone want to share anything from the questions?
Mm.
I'll go ahead. So, just a couple of words stood out. What is my belief about my soul? And the word choice stood out. Like, I am my soul, and I choose to embody the human form to discover and experience and expand. And then the what is my intention with my connection to my intuitive self as I move forward. And this one was all about alignment, just being in alignment and trusting that alignment. And, as I live, as I make choices, as I, take action, just being in alignment. And that means connecting more and trusting that connection. So, and then it was funny though, you asked about give me a word, and I was finishing that up when you asked the question, and then you didn't give as much time before you started talking. And I'm like, every time I would try and like tap in, you would start talking, so I'd come back here.
Yeah.
So I'll have to do that separately.
Okay, that's fine.
So, but what was really interesting, I just want to share this really quick. Kim, when you entered my space, with the chakras, I went straight into my third eye, and it just opened up, and it was all golden butterflies. And then the butterflies started transforming, into other forms and stuff. It was just like this really cool little, almost like a flip book, but it was all these golden shapes, but it started as butterflies. And so I don't know if there's a connection to butterflies with you, but it was like you were entering my space as this golden butterfly. So it was cool.
That's beautiful. And when I was in your space, I just kind of follow whatever is given to me. Do you know what I'm saying? I took your hands and I put two small golden balls in your hand, like maybe an inch or two big each.
Hmm.
And you just, it was like activating your palms. And then you were just holding this big golden sphere and you just sat there holding the energy like that.
Hmm.
Which is not really that energy work can work differently every time, but it's not like a hands-on necessarily like Reiki. So it was
Mhm.
really interesting that you could hold that energy like that. I just like held the space so you could do that basically. So it's funny that you're experiencing everything gold in those moments, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, butterflies represent transformation,
Mhm.
really, right? And extreme transformation because
Well,
they start out as a wiggly little worm, you know? So
yes, yeah.
I love that. And then there's this freedom of the butterfly. And what was funny is the other day, my husband and I were out walking, um, and we saw like it was like a baby butterfly. Like, you know, the monarch butterflies, they're usually big, but it was a little teeny one. We were like, we're in New England. Like how were you even born yet? Because it's too early, you know?
Mhm.
It was just, it really took our attention. Um, yeah. So I love that. And maybe your word is just simply choice.
Mhm.
Yeah. Deb or Julie, anything that you want to share or you need to keep it?
Well, um I came back the answer to your first question. My soul guides me more perfectly than my mind,
Oh, I love
and
that.
I can rely on my soul first.
I love that for you. Hmm.
And then my intention, ask my guides for answers for my work and all my life's for all my life's
Hmm.
every day from this day forward permanently.
Hmm. That's a powerful intention.
Yes.
Yes. And no judgment on the days you forget. Okay.
Hmm.
No self-judgment. Absolutely. Hmm. I love that. Hmm. So when I was with you, Julie, it was like whew, right to the throat chakra, just there the whole time. Um, just doing a lot of energetic work around the throat. So if we think of the clairs, the throat is your claircognizance. I mean, your claircognizance, your clairaudience, and the smell and the taste, your
Hmm.
clairaudience and your clairgustance. Um, so you notice had nothing to do with your clairvoyance, right?
Right.
Yeah. So like just getting that activated. Um,
Hmm.
but I also know like as you're emerging and building your business, your voice is really important, right? Your
Hmm.
messaging so that people hear you and know that they want to work with you, right? So I felt like it had a lot to do with that too. It was
Hmm.
twofold. And this is not evidential, but like there was this beautiful little angel just kneeling, sitting with her hands like on your knees. It was really sweet. And I feel like um, there's just a lot of love for you from spirit and a lot of support. And um, you're doing something very brave, like when you're building a business from nothing, right? Because that's what you start with.
Hmm.
It's a really brave moment. And I just feel like there's a lot of support. That's all I can say, really, you know, and a lot of appreciation, and just maybe be channeling that and using that, you know? Yeah.
And I got this the words create and activate every day. In other words, I have to create something and activate something every
Mm-hmm.
day.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah. And the throat is the expression of you,
Hmm.
right? So where, like, maybe be concentrating on, like, where am I holding back in how I'm showing myself? What part of my origin story do people not know? What part of my story do they need to know I'm their person? So I feel like it's a lot about like that self-expression and
Hmm.
sharing, you know? Yeah. Because when people know you, they feel your heart so strong.
That's why I try to include story in a
Yeah.
lot of my posts and
Good.
everything I put out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Deb, it was so interesting. Um, it was like this, for lack of a better word, it was almost like spirit went like poof. And um, there was like this just, you know how Deb and I are in another program together, and in that program there's like always this activation of like the future version of yourself, right? And it was like this next version of Deb just totally integrating and like coming right inside of you. It was really a very powerful visual. It was very empowered. But what really stuck out for me was the joy and the confidence in you was really magnificent, really magnificent. And it was kind of like everywhere you go, you're like, I got you, I got you, I got you. So people really being drawn to you. I know. I would like a poof instant too, Michelle. Um, it was really, and you were wearing, my husband calls them tennis shoes. I call them sneakers. But it was kind of like you had your sneakers on because you're getting busy. It's like you're getting busy. You got to have your comfortable shoes. I don't know. It was just like a really powerful moment of integration. So I hope that you feel that in the coming days and weeks.
So I had this picture happening, this movie of these two girls, like my young Deb self
Mhm,
and another Deb. I saw one of them pushing the other one kind of like
mm,
very gently, like just like it was almost like this one wanted to take over that one. And it was kind of funny because it was literally two
mhm,
girls,
mhm,
like I almost physically moved like this direction to like
mhm,
nudge this person
mhm,
away, like, no, you know,
mhm,
I don't know why, but it was
mhm,
almost like the soul and the mind were having uh, a power
mhm,
struggle, and the soul wins, of course. And the answer to the first one was, you know, my belief about my soul is that it's my beautiful space. It is um, mindset free,
mhm,
and it's like my spirit space, my place to go, you know, be with the angels, and just it's that space where I get to return to. Literally, it's like my return space. I'm back to where like my
mhm.
creation started. Um,
Beautiful. I love that.
Guess the question number 2, because I think after the little movement that happened, maybe the word was move, but
Mm-hmm.
I just went deeper after that and
Mm-hmm.
don't know what happened after that.
That's okay. That's okay. You know, um, we often don't remember when we come out of those experiences too. So the word that I got for everyone, like as a group, was just rejoice.
Wow.
Just rejoice. You've all worked really hard. And my hope is that you have the foundation and the tools within yourself now to continue that work as you go forward and continue that relationship that you've built with your own self and just be using it, you know, all the time, all the time. So, if you choose to join me in the monthly mentoring, that will, what did I say it was? Was it the first Wednesday? Oh no, now I've forgotten. I'll put it in the email. So that it would start in June. I can't remember what week. If I said it was the first or the second week. Sorry. That's typical of me not remembering.
Uh-huh.
Do. I'm gonna see if I can look it up quickly. No, maybe
Once a
it's,
month.
I just said once a month, but I didn't
Yeah.
say
No,
when, did
you
I?
did. It's in the link, Wednesday, first Wednesday from 1 to 2 Eastern.
Okay, first Wednesday.
Yeah, it's not in the email, it's in the link.
Mhm. Okay, so if you want to do it and for some reason that time doesn't work, just reach out to me because like I'm starting this with you guys, so we have a little control.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any questions before we part?
Okay, no, I don't want it to come to an end, but I'm excited you're doing the continuation so we can meet monthly. But,
Mhm.
Julie and Michelle, you can't get rid of me that fast, so we're here for the duration. We'll connect for sure. Keep doing some work.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, lean on each other when you need to. And you created, all of you, a beautiful sacred space where everyone could be vulnerable and really show themselves. And it's not easy the first time you connect and try to do a reading and get information. And you all made that space for each other to really be able to do that without any concern of what the result was going to be, you know? And that's super important. You need that. It's very important to have that safe space. So I'm really glad that that's what it was. And it's why I'm very like particular about putting a group together. So it's very elite.
You did
You
good,
know,
Kim.
I think that it was really a really nice, lovely, beautiful group of women that you are. So always reach out to me. All right. I'm always here and I want to know how you're doing and I want to know what's coming up for you. I hope to see you next month. I will get that information out about the Gold and Akashic certifications for the Visionary certification. I just haven't put that all together yet, but we probably wouldn't start that till July anyway. So we have some time. All right. And if you have any questions about the monthly meeting, just reach out to me. But mostly, like the portal's still open. I'm not
Okay.
closing it down. So use those recordings, use the resources. If you're having trouble sitting in the power on your own, put one of those on and use it. Because you know what's funny is that even though you've gotten so good at sitting in the power, there will be times where you're like, all of a sudden, you feel like you need to listen to something to do it. And that's okay. Like, all that's normal. It doesn't mean like you're losing your connection. All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. I kept you very late. Thank you for being so forgiving for me going late many, many times too. So,
Obviously, we don't mind. We love it. So
Yeah. we
this
love
is
it.
more time with you.
See,
well, the feeling's mutual. You are like
And
the first group to put through this, and for that reason, you'll always be really special and sacred to me. Yeah. Love to
And
you all.
Thank
by
you
the
so
way,
much for
Deb and
everything,
July,
Kim.
Deb and Julie, Kim is speaking in our Facebook group on the 28th too. So if you want to join.
Excited for that.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you for letting us know. Yay.
Yeah, May 28th.
May
Yes.
28th.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. I think it's 2 p.m. Eastern. I have to look it up.
Yes.
2 p.m. Eastern.
2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
great.
looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fun.
Exciting. Well,
Yeah.
thanks,
All right.
everyone.
All right, ladies. Have a good rest of your day.
You
You
too.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.